service your existing car with us right now.
And it's worth £500 off your next car.
Yes, at Macklin Motors Toyota, we'll give you a £500 voucher off any of our brand new Toyotas when you book in for a service with our expert Toyota trained technicians.
We even have complimentary courtesy cars available, so book your service now and get £500 off any new Toyota.
Visit macklinmotors.co.uk or see us at Kennishead Road, Darnley.
Macklin Motors, the new name for Toyota sales and servicing in Glasgow.
Valid on services till 30th September. Excludes Motability and fleet customers. One £500 voucher per vehicle purchased by 31st December.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars.
Let's go!
What a weekend of football. Kicked off Saturday at noon. Rangers winning 2-1 at Livingston. Hearts 2, Ross County 1, Kilmarnock and Dundee United, Killie back in the big time 1-1, Hibs winning at St Johnstone, and then on Sunday Motherwell 1-0 at St Mirren. Remember here we broke it first on Friday that the manager had gone, but they got the victory. And then Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. Is that an argument for goal of the season already from Jota? What do you think? 0808 17 17 700. As Connor Goldson slams criticism of John Souttar on his debut and lauds him as an unbelievable signing. Barry Ferguson back from holiday. Good to see you, Barry.
Yeah, great to be back. Great that the season started at the weekend. I think we've been waiting a bit of time for it, but some good performances, some good goals. Ready to go again.
Mark, 3 nights last week and you're back tonight. It's been quite a weekend for Celtic, off to the winning start. Not the goals that the manager was looking for,
but still it was 3 points, Paul, and at this stage of the season that's all you want, particularly with Rangers winning on Saturday. It was important for Celtic to do the same. 2-0 probably flatters Aberdeen a little bit. I thought it was a comprehensive victory and a very good performance, but certainly the manager already demanding more and better from his players.
Some of the other headlines then at the weekend: Calvin Bassey, Barry, sent off in his debut at Ajax. Not the start he would have wanted.
Yeah, listen, pretty similar, but we're probably going to talk about John Souttar. He's not got off to the best start, but listen, it's way too early. Listen, Calvin Bassey showed what a top player he was, certainly in the last half of the season last season. And look, I'm sure he'll be suspended for a game or two, but he'll come back and he'll be a great signing for Ajax.
And let's hope Rangers don't miss him too much as they go into the game tomorrow. Can you believe it, Barry? They're into European action tomorrow night in Belgium against Union SG.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, Paul. Listen, the first half wasn't great, but the most important thing for Rangers was to get off to a winning start, and they certainly done that. Second half was a lot better. Look, people will say Rangers were poor, but you've got to give Livingston credit. I thought Livingston defended really well in the first half, but obviously Gio made a change at half time. Tillman come on, who was very, very impressive. And then that double change with Scott Arfield coming on made a difference. He scored straight away. Then James Tavernier, I think 90 seconds later. So it was important for Rangers to go off to that winning start, and that takes them into the game tomorrow night, which is going to be a tough one in Belgium.
You up for taking a few phone calls?
Always.
Mark as well, ready for it.
Yep.
A few of the talking points at the weekend: Cholak, the offside goal, should it have stood? Livy, should they have had a goal as well as that first goal that did stand? And Celtic, was that a penalty shout with Hatate? 3 cards already this first opening weekend in the Scottish Premiership. It's been quite a weekend. 0808 17 17 700. Ange Postecoglou demanding a higher standard from his Celtic players. Jota, is it going to be, I mean, it's too early to say goal of the season, but it was a terrific goal from the Portuguese star, and we'll be previewing Rangers in action tomorrow. Barry, we're also going to get your prediction. Who's going to win the title and who might go down? Because not many people saw that happening, that Motherwell during the programme on Friday. Quite dramatic, wasn't it, Mark? 5:15, the breaking news.
It was, yeah. Graham Alexander, the first casualty. I think there's been a bit of a narrative. Graham Alexander, Callum Davidson, Stephen Robinson, Lee Johnson, those guys are under the microscope for various reasons. Graham Alexander away, the timing's strange, but then when you hear the conversation that's taken place, Graham Alexander initiated it with a hierarchy at Fir Park, and they came to a mutual decision. Who's going to take over there? Then you look at Motherwell going to Paisley yesterday, Paul, and beating St Mirren. It's not the start that Stephen Robinson wanted either. Ironically enough, Stephen Robinson linked with going back to Fir Park as manager. It's I think there's a few coming and going still to come over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Motherwell fans, what do you think? What's going to happen? And is there? We're almost on manager watch already, Barry, aren't we? Because I know it seems crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
1st of August.
But if I'm being honest with you, no disrespect to the Irish League in Sligo, who deserve to go through. I watched both games and they thoroughly deserve to beat Motherwell. But a club like Motherwell should be playing in the Premier League, finishing 5th, albeit they're not, they only won 3 games since Christmas. But you would expect Motherwell to beat Sligo. And obviously they've made a decision. And as Mark's just said there, they've went to a difficult place in Paisley and got off to a great start, beating St Mirren 1-0.
Tell me you didn't watch it on holiday, did you?
I did watch
put
it.
your wife through the. It was on in a bar, wasn't it? It was on in a bar.
That's just me. Listen, when I had a wee glance when I was walking past a bar and I seen it on, so why not go in and watch it? Listen, I like watching all sorts of football, and also listen, Motherwell in Europe.
Absolutely. Yep.
You want to see Scottish clubs do well, but listen, I watched the game in Sligo with a better team.
They certainly were. So that's it. One manager down. I wonder what the situation will be in a few months' time. It takes time to settle down, but that wasn't the case. I mean, I think Graham Alexander did say, no, we need to go. This isn't going to happen. I thought Andy Walker had a great point on Sky at the weekend when he said, why didn't they make this decision earlier? And they could have had, the spring into the summer to get his team, the new manager.
But I think with that, Paul, that's with the benefit of hindsight. Because
think?
Why would you not give Graham Alexander the chance to get his team into European group stage competition football? Now, Graham Alexander wanted to beat Sligo, the Motherwell fans, the hierarchy, everybody. It didn't work out. But what I would say was, had they delayed it any longer, then I would say, well, wait a minute. But at least now they've been decisive, as in it's not happened. You're out, or they've come to a mutual decision. You're out. It now gives the new guy 31, depending how quickly they appoint him, but 31 days, the rest of the window, to go and try and shape it as he wants it to be. But I think saying, they should have billeted Graham Alexander sooner. Well, to be honest, why? Imagine Motherwell had sacked him before he gets a chance to play them in European football after guiding them there. There'd been an outcry.
But the fans weren't giving him any time at all.
No, and if you lose to Sligo, I get that, Paul. Especially on the back of 5 wins in 2022. When you think about it, 5 wins in 2022 and you still qualify for Europe, it shows you how balmy our league is.
It was last season, wasn't it? Let's hear from the top 2 managers. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst takes his Rangers to Belgium today for the game tomorrow night after the 2-1 win Saturday lunchtime. Barry, you were at the game, weren't you?
Yep, I was there. Yep,
you were at the match. Here's what your old colleague felt about the game.
Well, in the end, of course, really happy with the points. The start of the game wasn't good from our side. We didn't look sharp with the goal against us, so that took us out of the game. We didn't play our normal game the first half, especially when we had the ball, not taking the right position, not attacking the right zones in the right moments. And second half we did much better and created a lot of chances to score. In the end, happy with the 2 goals we scored, because it means we have 3 vital points first game of the season.
Huge start for Rangers to get the points. 24 hours later, Celtic 2-0 against Aberdeen. But the manager wasn't entirely happy.
You can be patient, but if the chances are there, you take them as well. And then the game changes. And I thought they were good chances. And like I said, I thought we were a bit wasteful at times with our decision making in front of goal. And it's an area. Obviously, we know we score goals. We've got goal scorers, right throughout the team. But just felt today we just lacked a little bit of, decisiveness in front of the goal.
Demanding the highest standards. We'll talk about that in a moment or two. Barry, what about Rangers? Right, John Souttar. It's been controversial. A lot of people saying he's getting too much criticism on his debut for Rangers. What do you feel?
Yeah, I feel, listen, it's far too early. A bit of patience needed. That's his first start domestically for Rangers. Look, if you ask John Souttar, he never had the best of games, but I honestly believe in time John Souttar will be a very good signing for Rangers. And it's going to be tough. Look, he'll be seeing all this written about him, people speaking about him. But one thing about John Souttar is he's mentally tough. Look at the injuries he's come back from. And I've no doubt at 25-year-old, give the boy a bit of time and he will be a right good signing for Rangers on a free transfer. John Souttar, if he was into the final year of his contract or 2 years, you'd be talking at least a couple of £1 million for John Souttar. So I've no doubt in my mind. Look, he had an off day like every footballer has. He will come good for Rangers, I've no doubt about that.
You always say it's difficult. Sometimes making the step up to Rangers can be very difficult.
It'll take him a bit of time. He missed a bit of pre-season as well. He's not played every single pre-season game. Listen, he was up against a centre forward in Nubly who was very, very impressive in the first 45 minutes. He gave Suter and Golson a tough time, no doubt about that. And listen, both of them had a tough afternoon. But as I said, I think it's been far too early to judge John Suter. I think give him a bit of time and then you will see a proper centre back.
Mark, if John Suter is listening, he'll take a lot from that, from a legendary Rangers captain.
Yeah, I mean, Barry knows what it's like to wear the jersey and the level of expectation that comes with it. One thing that's not, well, there's two things that are not in doubt. His ability. He is a top defender. His mentality, as Barry says, you look at what he's had to come back, not once, not twice, but probably 3 times in the space of 7 or 8 years from when he was a kid at Dundee United. What I would say in defence of John Suter, and this is something that is going to be down to the manager, John Suter's playing out of position, first and foremost. He's not a left-sided centre half, so that's not his natural position. It's his debut on a difficult pitch. He's playing with a new partner. Now, I'm not saying you'll be allowed to get away with that every week, you won't, but you know, you're probably thinking, with the benefit of hindsight, was John Suter primarily brought in by Rangers on a Bosman thinking that they're going to lose Connor Goldson? So he's brought in there probably first and foremost thinking he's going to be a right-sided centre half, because chances are we're going to lose Connor Goldson. Turns out Connor Goldson says, which is brilliant, you're now left with John Suter. What do you do with him? So in order to get the best out of John Suter playing with Connor Goldson, there's no point in putting Connor Goldson in left centre half, because you're taking away the best right-sided defender at the club. That's, you maybe really need to look closely at a back three, where you have Suter or Goldson as your main man and the other one on the right, and you find your left-sided guy. Now whether that's Barisic, Lunge, whoever it may be, I don't know, whoever Yilmaz, whoever that's going to be. Otherwise, you might be creating a wee bit of a problem, because you're playing a guy that's not in his naturally best position. So that's something that needs to be looked at. Over the piece, Newbley was brilliant. I mean, I think, Suter didn't look great, but also give the Livingston centre forward credit. He's turned them brilliantly. And by the way, what a finish. You know?
It starts, but the free kick, I can see why Gio would have been absolute livid. Barisic has got to go and meet that ball. And you could see when Newbley scored the goal, Tavernier and Golson straight away, bang, having a pop at him. Look, the second phase, Rangers have got to defend better, but it's a free header for the Livingston fullback. But in terms of, Mark makes a good point. He's been, in terms of Suter, he has been used to playing the right side. But I think all good players can adapt. I think just give him a wee bit of time.
You think he will?
Have a wee bit of patience with him, and I think in time he will be a very good Rangers centre back.
It was some of the old guard, wasn't it, that rescued it for Rangers in the shape of Scott Arfield. And remember that some people, he was hardly mentioned, wasn't he, over the spring and summer, and yet there he is again. He comes on. I
mean, for me, Scott Arfield could play in the starting 11, but if you've got a player who has ability on the bench, what an impact player he is, and he come on, and it's a great header, good ball in, great header for Scott Arfield, and obviously Tavernier coming up. I mean, we spoke. Well, I don't know how many times we spoke about that guy's numbers. Again, getting off to a flying start with a great free kick. Can the goalkeeper do a bit better? But Mark's been a former goalkeeper, I think. He kind of edges.
100%. I've got to save that.
But the defence there,
to be honest, from Shamal, George, at any level you're playing the Premiership, that's a shocker from the goalkeeper. An absolute shocker. Listen, decent free kick from Tavernier. I mean, we've seen him hitting proper worldies that the goalkeeper's not getting anywhere near, except that. But that one there, but it's the old adage as well with something like that, as long as you hit the target, you've got a chance. So just make sure it's in target. But if you're the Livy goalkeeper, you'd be, and anybody connected to Livy, absolutely raging at losing that goal. Turning point for Rangers, the substitutions. And what about Tillman then? We heard a lot about him, Barry. What did you make of his performance?
I've watched a lot of him on, as a lot of people would do on YouTube, and I think I've said this a couple of times. What struck me, he's very much like Loftus-Cheek at Chelsea. He reminds me a lot of him, but he come on, and I've got to be honest with you, especially on that surface, it was dry. You're up against a stuffy team in Livingston who get right in your face. Quality was jumping out of him. He looked a real quality player, and I think Rangers have got a top player in their hands. 20 years of age, coming for Bayern Munich as well. Brilliant grounding there, playing with top players. he looked a top player, and it'd be interesting to see what happens with him going forward. I mean, that area of the
What's
Rangers
his best
team,
position? But what's his best
he
position?
played in number 10
right
position.
in the 10.
Yep. Picks up great wee areas. Difficult for the central midfielders to pick up, and then one of the ones that the centre back go in and take him. Very clever on the half turn, awareness round about him. I was very impressed by him.
All the papers today are talking about VAR watch now. You know, if VAR was there, what would have been different at the weekend? I'll throw a couple at you. Cholak, the goal that was offside. What do you think, Barry? You were there. Be hard to call.
Yeah, again, I feel so. VAR's not in yet, and I feel for the linesman, the referee. It's a tough one to call. I mean, if VAR's in, it's a goal. But listen, you can't. I thought Gio's interview after the game was perfect. Why speak about it? It's not in. They've made a decision. Is it a right decision? No, it wasn't. But you just got on with it.
Here's GVB speaking.
Well, I mean, it's, the ref is, he makes his decision, if he counts the goal or not, it's his decision. Of course, with VAR, he will have the help. So, I can't complain about that. I think there was one tackle, maybe the second yellow, but it's all in the game. You have to accept the decisions of the referee and the linesman and play on. And we had to concentrate on our game because we had to dig deep to win today.
2-1 for Rangers. We could talk about controversy.
I like that. He's no moaning about it.
He's
just
fair.
got on with it. Yep.
And that's the way he's always been, isn't he? He's very fair that way.
I like that way. But in terms of the two tackles, the Livingston boy, listen, David Martindale, straight away after that second, he sent the boy out for a warm up straight away within a minute or two.
And that tells you everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, he knew the next one. He was off, so Davies obviously identified that as quickly as possible and made the changes quickly as possible.
Let's hear a bit more from Ange Postecoglou then, looking at some of the players that caught the imagination at the weekend. Tillman, especially for Rangers, and for Celtic, that goal from Jota, but he wasn't without criticism from his manager.
Yeah, good goal. He's obviously got that in his locker where he's, he can take people on, and again, he's one of the ones. I thought he started brightly, but then I thought, he was probably one of the main culprits as to while we fell away a bit just before half time, just being wasteful in possession. And I've said to all the boys that you can have lofty ambitions, but ultimately you've got to be at your best all the time. You can't be at 90-95% and achieve what we want to achieve. So, but as I said, they addressed that in the second half, and I thought he was particularly better in the second half.
You're both smiling at that one. You come off and you think, "Oh, Gaffer, you happy with me?"
I mean, that phrase, he was one of the main culprits. You think, God, how'd you please
You're
that
not
guy?
going to get away with much.
The demands, no, you're not. And actually, I know you're looking at it different. I'm watching the game on the telly yesterday, and he looked great. And his goal, he liked his interview before it. You're just seeing a wee bit of his personality, which is always nice too. But the goal was good. He was the main man, the guy who really impressed me. And I think he could actually, in terms of transfer value and importance to Celtic, could emerge as our most important player this season, even ahead of Kyogo and different guys and Jota, is Matt O'Reilly. I think he, and I'm starting to really get it now why there was. I'm not saying Postecoglou wasn't bothered about losing Rogic, but you now look at O'Reilly, who's had that 6 months bedding in, albeit he made a fantastic impact right away. O'Reilly looks to me as if he could emerge as a multi-million-pound talent. I mean, proper. And then Jota. But the other thing that maybe concerned me, Paul, is like, again, Hatate, really good, brilliant, but seemed to kind of lose his energy again. Like he put so much into the first 55, 60 minutes. Kyogo as well, and I know they've got Giacomakis to come up, but I think that's something that that would be the manager would be thinking about as well. Just like, how do they preserve the energy levels a wee bit more? I don't know, Barry. Like I'm not, unless he's just told, look, you just go and batter it for an hour, then you're coming off. I'm not sure.
Watching the game, I mean, when they lost the ball yesterday, that's the thing that jumped out at me, man. They were like straight at it.
Maeda.
Yeah, the energy levels, but O'Reilly.
Let's stick on the builder, as they call him. I watched the Fawlty Towers.
Do you know what? Just watching it, he's very, very elegant on the ball. And to me, he looked to be shredded a wee bit as well. That would probably one thing that I think you've got to be fit to play under Postecoglou. The modern day game, you've got to be an athlete. And that was one thing that you could maybe say about O'Reilly. Maybe he needed to get a bit more fitter, but I can't disagree with Mark. I think his touches on the ball. I just think at times left-footed players look better. But
You think,
I know
yeah,
you're saying,
because
aye.
the fewer.
But you can see why Rogic wasn't kept. And when they signed him for MK Dons, he's very similar to Rogic. That kind of elegant. He drifts, he floats across the pitch. He's got an eye for a pass. He can score a goal. He's got it all.
Got everything. And obviously there have been reports that Leicester City fancy him. Mark, could you see that happening? There's a day, we've got 4 weeks left
Well,
of
I just
the
seen
transfer
Madison,
window.
Newcastle have stepped in 50 million now. So
50, is it?
Oh, it was 40 yesterday, 50 million.
Up
Wow.
10.
Yeah. My goodness. Yeah. All right, we're going to take
yeah.
a quick break and then we're back. Mark Guidi, Barry Ferguson is back. And then we're also going to check your predictions from Friday and also Michael.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars.
Let's go!
Yep, we've teamed up with our friends at Clyde Built Home Improvements, giving you the chance to win £250 every Friday here on the Go Radio Football Show. All you have to do is predict the weekend Scottish Premiership results. So, as you probably know, on Friday, Michael was on the show. His predictions didn't quite pan out, so we're rolling over this extra £150 into this weekend's games. That means you could get £100 for just coming on Friday and a £300 jackpot this time next week if you get all 6 results correct. All you need is home, win, lose or draw. We don't need the actual score lines. Register online now at thisisgo.co.uk for your chance to join us predicting the scores this Friday. Barry, you'll do your score lines this coming Friday?
Yep.
And your prediction for the title will come in a moment or two. Everyone's standing by to find out who's Barry going to go for. Rangers or Rangers reserves? Rangers B team. That's coming up in a moment or two. Mark. Yeah.
Oh, the Rangers B team, they'll win the league as well.
Yeah, well, they had a good start at the weekend, didn't they? We'll come to that in a moment or two. Stealing your thunder. Also, we're going to be speaking about James Maddison, a £50 million offer in from Newcastle in the context of could it be Matt O'Reilly? Celtic fans would hate to hear that. And look, we don't know what's going to happen. But Michael at the weekend, he predicted, he didn't get them all right. He got 2 of them right. He predicted Hearts to win and he predicted Celtic to win. He thought Livy and Rangers would draw. Mark, yourself, you got a couple right as well on Friday.
I took Rangers to win 1-0. I think I took Celtic to win 2-0. I took Killeen Dundee United to draw. I got St Johnstone Hibs wrong and I got Hearts Ross County wrong. St Mirren Motherwell, I can't remember. I think I took Motherwell to win.
I'll tell you who you got for that one.
Can't remember. Anyway, it's not about me. It's about the contestants, about the listener.
You went 2-1 for St Mirren. You did.
Oh,
Yeah,
can't
2-1
believe
St
that.
Mirren. It's tough, but
He's
it's
an ex-buddy. He's got to
and
go
of
with
course,
St
former
Mirren.
goalkeeper. So listen, you can register. This is go.co.uk, and it could be you this coming Friday. Mark Guidi, Barry Ferguson. We'll speak again we'll hear from Ange Postecoglou in a moment or two. But here is Giovanni Van Bronckhorst after the Rangers 2-1 win.
In the end, of course, really happy with the points. The start of the game wasn't good from our side. We didn't look sharp with the goal against us, so that took us out of the game. We didn't play our normal game the first half, especially when we had the ball. Not taking the right position, not attacking the right zones in the right moments. And second half, we did much better and created a lot of chances to score. In the end, happy with the 2 goals we scored because it means we have 3 vital points first game of the season.
Big Rangers fan is on. Craig, welcome to the new season.
How you doing, guys? It's good to have the football back.
Good, it certainly is. How are you doing? Were you happy about Saturday, or how happy were you?
Listen, I'm happy with the result, and I think the first day of the season, especially, playing away to Livingston, I don't think that's the tie you'd have handpicked to start the season with. You know what you're going to get there. You know it's not going to be a classic in any stretch. They are a highly defensive team. They set out to frustrate you, and we made the cardinal sin. We gave them something to hold on to straight away. We gave them that early goal. And as soon as you do that against teams like Livingston, it happened to us last season when we lost our first game against Dundee United, the first one we'd lost in a while. It was a similar thing. As soon as you give that kind of team a lead, they're going to sit back and defend. They're going to make it difficult. And the quality wasn't there from us in the first half. But I thought the second half was better. I think, I had the discussion there about, of course, the Cholak goal, VAR would need to come in to decide it. So I can forgive Don Robertson for that. What I can't forgive, and I don't know if the guys would agree with me here, Kankar should have been sent off. He was on a booking. he tripped Scott right. Now, if he had made a genuine attempt to go for the ball, I'd be saying, right, okay, fine, he gets a final warning. But he didn't make any attempt to get the ball. And that's why I don't understand with the fourth official standing there, with the fact Don Robertson's in a good position. Why?
Okay, Barry was there. What would you say on that?
The second tackle, it was a red card, but obviously the referees made a decision, and that's why David Martindale's acted so quickly, because he knew the next one. Probably the referee's thinking to himself, by the way, I maybe I've made the wrong decision, so the next person that player touches, he's off the pitch. Yeah, but it should have been a sending off, no doubt about it. It was late, very late in fact. And a bit rash after having a booking just before it as well. Sometimes you've got to listen, take it easy for 5 or 10 minutes. And as soon as he made that tackle, to be fair, where I was sitting, I looked straight down at the Livingston dugout, and David Martindale was going mental, because he was obviously thinking to himself, I don't want to go down to 10 men after being 1-0 up. But listen, the referees made the decision, and you just need to go on with it. Craig, there's nothing you can do about it when referees make decisions.
Craig, what about Scott Arfield? I see David Martindale jokingly said he should be banned from Livingston.
Well, listen, Scott Arfield is a terrific, has been a terrific player for us, and I think it's a good thing for us to keep him, because he does provide that. He came on. I think him and Tillman, I think, were the two that really made the difference when they come on off the bench. And that run he made, there was balls going into the box all afternoon, and most of them weren't finding anybody. But he made that run in, and he made it his own. People will talk about Tavernier's free kick. I think Arfield's header's better, because to run in and flip that on the way he did, it's a magnificent goal. And it was crucial, because you want to start the season off in the right fashion, and getting a win at a tough place like Livingston, I think does that. I think there's obviously some things that need to be ironed out. I think Suter is going to have to up his game, but then I think with Ben Davies coming in, that might give him even more impetus to do that, because they're going to basically directly be competing with each other. Because I think the rest, Goldson certainly isn't going to be getting dropped any time soon, so it will be between those two. So that was probably the only downside, was John Suter. And to be fair, Barisic is not blameless in the first goal either, but other than that, it's 3 points on the board. I mean, you got up the road, and if you'd have won the game 1-0, you still get the 3 points. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Barry, I see Ryan Kent picked up a knock at the weekend. I'm just looking to see ahead of the game tomorrow.
Yeah, it didn't look much. I think it was just a kick. I think he'll be fine. But in terms of Scott Arfield, he's got that knack. That late run into the box, defenders hate that. And deep lying midfielders, when you're playing against somebody like that, like Scott Arfield, he's an experienced player. He's a top player, Scott Arfield. And when Rangers made the decision to give him an extra year's contract, I was absolutely delighted. Whether he's going to start or no every game, I doubt it. But to have a player of that quality coming off the bench, and when you look at both Rangers and Celtic, you look at their benches,
so strong, aren't
There's
they?
game changers. There's guys that can come on and make it even stronger. And that's what you want. And if you want to have a successful team, you've got to have competition for places.
I think that's the point that Peter Grant was making on Wednesday night. The starting 11s obviously are important for both, but the strength on the bench, particularly we know for sure whether Rangers are in Champions League or Europa League, but they're going to be in Europe. So between now and the middle of November, before we pack up for the World Cup, it's week to week. It's Saturday, Tuesday, or Sunday, Thursday, whatever it's going to be. And you've got the League Cup in there as well. So you're going to need all these guys. You're going to have times like it's not going to go to plan, and it's going to be frustrating. You're going to have to look to your bench. And that's what I liked about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst on Saturday as well, Paul, was just that he's so calm. I just find in any situation, he's calm, he's measured. It's the same with Postecoglou, but you see him and he identifies, he looks at his bench, has a chat with his staff and says, boom and boom, they'll get on. Tillman and Arfield, let's get them on, let's mix it up a wee bit. As Barry said, Tillman comes on and all of a sudden he's posing tactical questions to the Livingston guys. Who's going to come out and who's going to go with him, who's going to sit, and you're pulling them around. So with that's what I really liked about Van Bronckhorst, because sometimes you would see him out, oh God, it's the opening day of the season, we're 1 down, we're against Liverpool, what do we do? But there's such a calmness there, and there's an authority, and that emanates itself onto the pitch as well. And likewise 24 hours later, Celtic win convincingly. Probably could and should have been more, although Aberdeen a golden chance to make it one each. Should at least have hit the target. And then you get Postecoglou identifying 2 or 3 players and saying main culprits. He said, yeah, we've won. If you want to win the league again, we want to have a pop at this Champions League and stay in European football after Christmas. That's no good enough. And you think, what a season we're in for.
Craig, will we now get Barry's prediction for this season? We've just said about 2 really strong squads. Celtic, the defending champions.
I don't think there's anything between the two of them. I think look, I'm not trying to get away from giving you an answer. I will give you an answer. I think it's going to come down to the Old Firm games. I honestly do believe, with the strength of the squads I've got, like Rangers, the first half, pedestrian, Gio makes a change. I think that will happen with Celtic. If they go away to tough places like Tynecastle and Livy or whatever, it's going to come down to the 4 Old Firm games.
And who is going to come out on top of those 4 games
I've got
then?
to say my former club. I do believe Rangers are strong, and I just like the especially in the forward area, he's got a lot of choices, similar to what Celtic have got as well. And there is absolute nothing between the squads.
You said a month ago Morelos would re-sign.
Yep.
Hasn't happened yet, but
and I think Kent will re-sign as well. I think both of them will re-sign.
Craig?
Yeah, I think I'd like both of these to re-sign. I actually think I agree in the most part with Barry saying there. Obviously, it would come as no shock that I think Rangers could win the league, but I think a lot is going to come down to whether we get into the Champions League. I really do, because I think if Celtic are playing Wednesday, Saturday, and we're playing Thursday, Sunday, and we're constantly having to play catch up, and it's just constant pressure, time and time again, I think that can become very taxing very quickly. And so that's a concern.
Barry, would you agree with that? If you're 24 hours later?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at the squad. I mean, look, you had Lundstram and Kamara playing in there. You've got Ryan Jack sitting at the bench, who's probably one of Rangers' best players when he's been fit. And you've got so much choice. You've got Arfield sitting on the bench. You've got Tillman sitting on the bench. Matonda's not even on the bench.
Davies is no
Davies is not even stripped.
You've got Alan McGregor on the bench.
Yep.
Morelos to come back.
Davies is no stripped.
Yep.
And you look at the flip side of that, you look at Celtic, the same. You look at the strength of their bench. Look who they bring off. They bring the 3 Japanese guys off who were excellent for them last year, and look at the quality they
David Turnbull, for example.
David Turnbull, Abada and Giacomakis.
Aaron Moy. But I think also as well for Rangers, in terms of Craig's point, I get you want to be in the Champions League, and you probably don't want to avoid the Thursday Sunday scenario. I get that, Craig, but also as well for the Champions League, that will allow the manager the chance to go and bring in 1 or 2 if he thinks he really needs them. So you've got a week, because you've banked that 30-35 million. All of a sudden the manager can say to the board, listen, here's 1 or 2 guys that have probably been on the radar. We didn't want to commit because we don't know financially where we're going to be. Probably a big outlay, and they've already spent big money this summer, albeit they've brought a lot of money in too. But that would allow Giovanni and Ross Wilson 7 days to go and say, let's go and have a wee tickle. Do you know what? We're there now. I've got the Champions League. We're going to go toe to toe with Celtic. We've got an Old Firm game at Parkhead next week. Let's go and bring in A and B. Let's go and really push the boat out now to go and go. Now, if you don't get into the Champions League, you're not doing that. But that will allow the manager the chance to wander his eye.
They have to get into the Champions League, because I think Celtic will still strengthen.
Yeah,
I think Celtic will go out and bring at least 2 players in.
And he keeps saying
and
it,
I agree,
doesn't he?
if Rangers are going to get into the Champions League, I have no doubt in my mind the Rangers board will give Gio the money and the backing to go and bring in another couple of players.
Here is the manager speaking about the Champions League.
I played many times in Champions League. Final I coached in Champions League, so I know the competition is very tough. In one of the strongest, maybe the strongest club competition in the world. So to be involved in that competition would be fantastic for us. We have 4 games to realize that. Tomorrow is the first game out of 2. Yeah, it's a big opportunity for us. We do our best and try everything to overcome first Union, and then after, we see we have to play.
Some great after-match comments there from the manager with Sky Sports. What do you make about Champions League? He knows all about it, so do you, Barry. This will be what a season.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough one for Rangers in Tuesday night, and they need to be at it. Certainly the second half against Livingston, there was a major improvement, but they need to be better than that, because They're coming up against a decent team.
Mark? Because the danger is it comes so early. And at first, everyone was saying, Union SG, we don't know that much. But you know how it works in Belgium. They came out top. It was just in the playoffs that they missed out.
Yeah, so essentially they are the champions. Giovanni and his staff will have them well scouted, Paul. The players will be drilled. They'll have their info. I think it's like anything else, with it being early in the season, you just want to avoid defeat tomorrow night. If you can get a 0-0, not a 1-1, the away goals don't count anymore. And for Union, they'll just be thinking any kind of victory. Let's just take any kind of victory to Glasgow. But you just don't want to lose the game if you can. You're then getting them back into Ibrox next Tuesday night. 50,000 supporters there. As long as there's not a major deficit to overcome, you would fancy Rangers to go and get the job done at Ibrox next Tuesday.
Make sure you come back for Belgium still in the tie. That's the most important thing.
Craig, you would agree?
Oh, totally, 100%. I think you've got to do that, because we've seen last season on that run what Ibrox can do to the team, even in games where we've came back with a deficit. So if you go there, brilliant. If you can get a win, that would be an absolute bonus.
And final point, who was your man of the match on Saturday?
Well, I mean, it wasn't a Rangers player, that's for sure.
I see the papers gave it to mainly Big Nubley, who scored one.
I was very impressed. That's the first time I've seen him live. You've obviously watch him on TV, but what a handful. I mean, had a brilliant first half of the season at Arbroath, and I was interested to see how he done. And he's a player. See
those pitches, Barry, the plastic pitches. You not think Kilmarnock as well? We need to get the proper grass, surely, in our top league. Do you not think so?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think in the top league it's got to be grass. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be part of the regulation. You can't get in. It used to be that way, Paul. Remember, it was probably helped bankrupt a lot of our clubs. The 10,000 minimum. I know it was with the best of intentions, but certainly for our top flight football, we've got to have grass at every ground.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com. Your local friendly experts for new and used cars. Let's go!
Thanks, Chris. The Go Radio Football Show, Monday to Friday. This time tomorrow night we'll be in the company of John Hartson and Craig Moore. And you would have seen, Barry, that Henrik Larsson talked about Craig the other week in an interview about one of the toughest players he ever played against. He said he could try and kick me all over the park, but I'll tell you what, he said he never complained when I gave him it back.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I say that to a lot of people. Oz was a proper centre back, tough, but could also play the game. And I'm not surprised with the comments with Henrik. I don't know if there's a brilliant photo where the one at Ibrox near the dugouts. He slides and he takes, and I think he goes over the kind of billboards that were at the side. Yeah. He just jumps up and gets on with it. But that's the type of player that Henrik was, and I'm not surprised that Henrik obviously would have gave Big Oz a few back. And listen, that was what it was like back then.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? As I said to you, before the game and after the game, the respect was there, but during the game, that went right out the window.
Well, we've got Moore and Hartson tomorrow night. Not Larsson, but it'll be great to see Big John as well. One of the best in the bit. They both are, aren't they?
Yeah,
Mark? We've got a brilliant team. It's great to have them.
Great.
Who's Big John going for the league?
He said it was. He told Rob the other night, really hard to call, but Celtic reserves he went for. No, he went for Celtic.
So I think it's going to be really tight, but just Celtic be 18 points.
And Kenny Miller did the same routine. Rob was taking them. What do you think? And Kenny did the same thing, but he went for Rangers. So Peter Grant said, I'm going to surprise you, went for Celtic. Mark, well, you can tell us again shortly. Let's go on the line to somebody who was at the game yesterday. Celtic winning 2-0 against Aberdeen. First, here's the manager's post-match reaction to Sky.
Yeah, not too bad. I thought we started the game really well. First sort of half hour, we were really in control and aggressive. I thought we got a bit slack towards the end of the first half, and our passing got a bit lax, and we weren't sort of as aggressive in our press. And then but I thought second half how we addressed that. Overall a decent performance. Thought we were wasteful in front of goal, or we could have been a bit more clinical.
On the line now, welcome to the new season. Jamie is on. Hi, Jamie.
All right, Paul. All right, Barry. All right, Mark.
Hi, Jamie.
How you doing, Jamie?
Yeah, good. Did you enjoy it yesterday? What did you make of the Celtic win?
See, there is before I start, Paul, can I have a wee somber moment with Luster Da a couple of months ago?
We're very sorry to hear, Jamie. Very sorry to hear that. You'd be thinking about him.
To be fair, I'm heartbroken because he used to go to parties with me a lot, you know.
You must have felt it, especially yesterday, Jamie. And we are sorry, but we're sorry to hear.
I was in floods of tears yesterday.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But football is such a huge thing, isn't it, Barry? And families, and it's passed down, and you follow your team. And your family, your brother played at Rangers, and Jamie's, his dad took him there to see Celtic, and it's the lifeblood here in Scotland.
Listen, sad time for obviously Jamie, as you just mentioned there, going with his old man. And it must have been hard for him. But listen, I'm sure his dad would have wanted him to go and watch his team, no doubt about that.
And it had been tears of joy, Jamie, when you saw that goal from Jota. Great ball through from Turnbull, and then the Portuguese wizard.
Yes, it was absolutely, brilliant yesterday. I was a bit disappointed though with the chances we missed yesterday. I think we could have won the game a lot more comfortable, and we did. Obviously, I'm happy with the 3 points. Don't get me wrong, but I thought we could have won the game slightly more comfortable.
Barry, you make a great point though about the early season.
Yeah, but in early season it used to take me 3 or 4 games before you get right up. I mean, you can have 4, 5, 6 pre-season games, but it does take you 3 or 4 to get right up to that 100%. But when I was watching the game, that is one thing that did strike me with Celtic. They try to walk the ball into the net a right few times yesterday. And listen, you can't disagree with Postecoglou. He's saying they were wasteful. Sometimes you've just got to take a pop for 20 yards or 18 yards. I just felt at times yesterday Celtic were trying to score the perfect goal. And listen, I think they scored, or they had a pop-it goal a few more times. It could have been a different scoreline, but I never felt at any stage watching the game that Celtic were going to be under the cosh or lose the game. Sometimes they switched off because I just thought they had so much possession of the ball. That's what happens as well. But that is still, I mean, we're into the first game of the season here. I think once you get into 3-4 games deep, then you'll start to see the sharpness get right up to peak form.
Mark Giakoumakis came close when he came on. You like the look of him? I mean, he was joint top scorer last season.
Yeah, I do like Giakoumakis. I think, when you look at some of his finishes, he's a quality finisher. I would say he's every bit as good a finisher as Kyogo. I know Kyogo's got that special kind of movement, but Giakoumakis is, and I have to say I like the look of Cholak as well. Something about him, 1.8 million already. I thought that very much looks to be money well spent in that area of the pitch for Rangers. But I think with Celtic, on the other hand, you've got to give credit to Aberdeen. Jim Goodwin's, that's a brand new team for them. 8 or 9 new players, new goalkeeper, new captain. So for them, Jim, probably deep down was thinking, fearing the worst. And after having such a good League Cup, no want to go there and get spanked 4 or 5. So they've kept it together. They penetrated now and again, but Joe Hart's had a save to make at the end as well. So over the piece for Celtic, it was good. I think Barry knows whether you're Rangers and you're not the champions and you're opening it away from home, or you are the champions and you're unfurling the flag, it's always an awkward day. You just want to get that out the road. So you look at it, and I know Jamie's having a wee bit of a go and understand why, but you look at it, 2-0, clean sheet. I don't know if they're top of the league or whatever it is, but it's the 3 points in the bag, no injuries. Stephen Welsh and Carter Vickers getting a game under a belt. Welsh opening the scoring, the chance to give Moy his debut, different things. So a lot of positives. Look, Paul, for a free transfer, it's a no-brainer. We're talking about John Souttar free transfer. It's a no-brainer. So you get a chance to bring in Aaron Moy. Like that, fine. Do I see him taking over from McGregor or Hatate or anybody like that? No. But you need backup because between now and the middle of November to the World Cup, Celtic will play close to 25 games. So you're going to need a big squad. But we all say that. So Moy will certainly do well for them, no problem.
Jamie, can we ask you a question? Your team is top of the table, Celtic on the 3 points, goal difference of 2. Then it's Hearts, Rangers, Hibs, Motherwell on 1 goal difference. So game 1, Barry reckons it's going to come to the 4 games, Rangers Celtic, Celtic Rangers. What do you think? Is it going to be that tight?
Well, there's every possibility you could come that way, Paul. Obviously, I think we've got a slight advantage, I think, because the first game's at home, so hopefully we'll be able to take advantage here. Obviously, Rangers come back on Saturday come back with the 3 points for his party, I would be happy about, obviously. And Shocker, he went for Rangers to win the league.
It's going to get down to the wire, Jamie. Who are you going for the league, Jamie?
Well, obviously, I think we'll just edge it because I think we've got even more firepower, but I think it's going to be tight, obviously, Barry, but obviously, it's Shocker, really. You went for Rangers and slid Peter Grant gone for Celtic.
Well, Jamie, listen, your dad will be proud of you.
See the 3 games a week. See, think about, obviously, it's going to be tough on them. When I look at both squads, and I'll go back to, I keep looking at both benches, and I looked at Rangers on Saturday, and you're minus another 3 or 4 players who could easily play. And I look at the Celtic bench, I looked at the substitutions they made. I think they can freshen it up and they'll still be really strong. Both of them.
Jamie, that's the comment of the first hour, the Shocker. Well done. Thanks very much for calling us, Jamie. All the best. Enjoy the season. Shocker, he's going for Celtic. Mark, you said it. You also think it's going to be really tight. But you reckon
Celtic just being the champs at the moment right now, to pick a winner, I'd go for Celtic.
Barry,
it's going to be so close.
Isn't it? I know. Too strong. I need to ask you.
The only thing that makes Sorry, Paul, makes like everybody's saying it's going to be so close. I'm thinking, God, is somebody going to go and win it by 12, 13 points? I genuinely can't see it.
I can't see that.
But it does look as though, and you know, if Rangers do get into the Champions League, that just gives them that extra wee bit of power to go and do something the last week of the window. Celtic, no, they've got the money sitting there if they want to go and use it, and I'm sure they will. But for Rangers, what a chance that gives them again just to go that extra yard. Were you disappointed Alan McGregor didn't play on Saturday?
I was surprised
because the manager
said,
you know, we'll see on Saturday. I'll play my strongest team.
Yeah, when I was on holiday, like you're looking on the internet and a lot of people are saying who will start the game. For me personally, it comes down to who's the best goalkeeper now. John McLaughlin's a goalkeeper that I do rate. I do think he's a very good goalkeeper, but if you ask me who's the best out of the two of them, Alan McGregor for me.
But
and
the manager
people go on about 3 games a week. He wouldn't have signed on if he couldn't do that, Alan McGregor. Do
you think he knew? Has he come as the number 2 for this season?
No, I think if you ask Alan McGregor, he'd want to play.
Mark, former keeper, were you surprised?
I was. Yep. I mean, I said all last week. I was very surprised. Nothing against John McLaughlin. I just thought, Alan McGregor would be there. You know, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst said in his interview with Sky Sports last week that we played here that basically whoever starts on Saturday would start on Tuesday. They'd be the man in possession. So look, he's assessed it over the season. He also said as well he would take into account the views of the goalkeeping coach Colin Stewart, which is also the case. But would I completely rule out Alan McGregor starting tomorrow night? No, I wouldn't. But I do think that McLaughlin's the man in possession.
I want to ask you a question. Do you think it's a position that you can change all the time?
No, because I think if I think back to the Malmo game at Ibrox, and if anybody wants to look it back and quickly look it up on YouTube, if you look at the goals that Rangers conceded, there was one in particular that I thought McGregor in his rhythm would have saved, but he didn't play every game. Remember the chopped and chain? I think there maybe a wee bit of protection for Alan with a back injury or whatever. But I thought if he was in a full rhythm playing every game, I'm not saying it was a glaring error one of the goals, but I just thought I'm expecting Alan McGregor to save it, and if he'd have saved it, it would have been a worldie. But that's the kind of thing that I was expecting him to do, and I just thought that night, massive game, he just wasn't quite on.
I think it's a position you've got to be consistent with.
Yeah. Rangers fans, what do you think? 08 08 17 17 700. Quick break for the news, then we're back. Barry Ferguson, Paul Cooney, Mark Guidi.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, your local friendly experts for new and used cars.
Let's go!